Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Stardom Road podcast here on the Countout Podcast Network. I am your host, as always, Scott Edwards, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Trent Brewer. Trent, we're back again for another episode. This time, it's a lot of fun for us. We made it simple this time, which is fun.
Yeah. All the other episodes we do, they're painful, they're difficult to do. We hate them with a passion, but this one's fun. That's the impression I'm getting from you, Scott.
Sometimes. But this one's fun. This one is 5-star Grand Prix
Mhm.
specific because obviously this weekend the 5-star Grand Prix does start in Stardom. So it's very fitting that we talk our favorite 5-star matches through the years. We're going to both give our top fives, include some honorable mentions in there as well. Should be a lot of fun. But before we get there, I do want to say, because I'll forget to say this later, and I don't want to forget to say this later. Me and Trent will be taking the rest of the month off following this episode. There will be no Stardom Road until September because, like I said, the 5-star Grand Prix is starting. It is so many days, so many hours. So we want to, if we're going to do a topic for the show, we want to devote our time to that topic and be able to enjoy talking about that topic. I know we just had the little rib at the beginning, but no, we enjoy doing the show. We enjoy giving the right information. But with so much wrestling coming up in the next 21 days, we thought, all right, let's take a few episode break. We'll be back fresh in September, and it'll be a lot better that way, I think.
Have you seen this schedule coming up?
I
Like
know.
we like to do Stardom Road properly, which basically means we don't want to half-ass these episodes. We don't want to come in and be like, yeah, we didn't watch what we're talking about, so we're just kind of going purely off memory. We want to actually do the research. We want to watch matches that we're talking about. We want to actually be able to bring you the content properly. And we can't do that with this 5-star schedule because
Yeah.
we want to watch the 5-star Grand Prix. We want to actually be able to take everything in. And when we've got shows literally every second night and they're happening live, and especially in Scott's case, he can't watch them live because he's sleeping, so he's got to wake up and then consume them. And then it's Scott, so he's going to be doing a whole bunch of content surrounding it. I will probably be lazy and not do that, but that's beside the point. But it's just not feasible for us to then do deep dives into Stardom's history. We're going to be entrenched in the here and now for Stardom over the course of the next month. So it's, please understand it's just not viable for us to then do the proper Stardom Road content. We'll come back in September and do the proper Stardom Road content then, providing we survive the 5-star Grand Prix. Spare a thought for the wrestlers doing it and spare a thought for the people watching.
Yeah, it's 12 shows in 21 days. We thought, all right, then that means we're having no shows in 21 days. I think that's a fair trade. They make up for it. But we'll be we'll be talking about it. If you want to hear from us regarding the current 5-star, it's not hard to find us. We're around. I mean, I'm always around. Unfortunately, I'm always around. But I'll be reviewing every single day of the 5-star one way or the other. I'm sure me and Trent will probably talk somehow with Ryan about it in the near future as well. So it should be a lot of fun. But we just wanted to let you know that the Stardom Road, we going off road for a little bit.
We're pulling up on the side. There's a gas station there. We're going to pull up, refill the engines because we're going to be running dry over August.
Yeah. I'm already tired thinking about it, and the thing hasn't even started yet. So should tell you it all.
We love the 5-star Grand Prix. It's our favorite tournament of the year. But the moment they announced the schedule, we've both kind of been dreading it because of just how intense it's going to be. We've grown up on the Stardom tournaments being like fairly long, and I know people complain like, "Oh, 2 months, they're a long time." You get confused about what's going on. It makes it easy when it's just a couple of matches a week that you have to watch.
Yeah, that plus the fact that everyone's live too, so it's like, oh, I have no excuse. I gotta watch this ASAP. I can't
It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh, it is. Like I can't give myself a buffer. Now I won't get spoiled on anything, which is really cool. But I'm not gonna lie. liked that buffer some days, like some weekends where I was like, oh, here we go. It was like, all right, 3-4 days, then it's uploaded. This is not the same case, but that's why we are taking the time. We want to enjoy the tournaments the best we can. Obviously, we're wishing all the best to the 28 wrestlers competing
Yes.
in that span. It's going to be a grueling tournament, and we are here to celebrate the past of the 5-star Grand Prix with our favorite matches from the tournament's history. There's been a lot of great ones, obviously.
Mm.
The great shows come with, you know, the great shows, the great moments, the great matches, they all come together. I think for me, I know there's going to be a lot of recency bias, and I went back and watched a lot of 5 stars because I felt the need to. But some of these past few years have just been incredible, absolutely incredible wrestling, often landing in my top 10 comfortably for matches of the year. And
Mm.
they're usually higher than 10, I'll tell you that. So this should be a fun conversation. We'll also give some honorable mentions after number 2 because we don't want to spoil each other's picks as we go along here. But yeah, like Trent said, the 5-star Grand Prix is our favorite tournament. So
Mm.
it's only right that
Triangle
we
Derby
cover it.
doesn't rate in the top 2 or 3 for me, unfortunately. Not yet, anyways. Give it time. We might find it jumping up there. It's got to settle. It's got to settle.
Yeah, I don't think we gotta worry about that one. That'll be a fun episode years down the line when it's like, I guess we'll do this. Anyways, are you ready to get right into it? Do you want to talk a little bit about like your experience with the 5 stars as a whole? Obviously, you have gone from the days where none of it was live to
Mm.
now it's going to be completely live. So obviously that's a difference, but just your overall experience of witnessing these tournaments and the greatness that has come from them.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, it's gradually gotten live in the sense that when I started watching Stardom, we didn't even get like the opening night and the final night getting these live pay-per-view treatments. It just, when it got loaded up to Stardom World, you watched it. And if you wanted to avoid spoilers, you just didn't go on Twitter. And you hoped that any of the social media or the forums and Reddit and stuff that you used were kind to you and didn't blatantly spoil it. Or sometimes Stardom World uploaded so slowly, you forgot who won certain matches. And so when they finally got uploaded, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's right, X won this match, which kind of in a reverse way kind of worked out well. It's just this time of year is always fun because it's not just Stardom running the 5-star Grand Prix. Every Japanese promotion basically runs their summer tournament. So it is kind of that vibrancy, the tournament season in Japan. You pick your favorite promotion, your second favorite promotion. They're running some sort of tournament. But
Mhm.
Stardom always kind of felt special, and every year felt kind of bigger than the last. And I noticed for me, sort of, you know, working out short lists for trying to work out my favorite matches in this tournament. Like every year, as I started going through the list and stuff, it felt like I was finding more matches
Mhm.
and more matches each year. It's like, oh, yeah, this year had some real good ones and just kept building and building and building. And
Yeah.
there's certainly some recency bias, but it just feels like each year it becomes a bigger and bigger spectacle.
Mhm.
With maybe the exception of 2020, where they were kind of having to rebuild on the fly.
Yeah.
It just always becomes a bigger deal. It's going to be interesting this year. Just they've revamped the tournament completely. It's going to be fun in a lot of ways to see how it compares and contrasts. It's got
Mhm.
the live factor, the 4 blocks, the more competitors, just to see how it compares to the tournaments of yore. But yeah, so many good matches. Trying to just build a short list in of itself was difficult. Coming in with certain biases, certain wrestlers I kind of wanted to see make the list, certain matches that have emotional attachment versus objective preference and
Mhm.
subjective preference. Very difficult just keeping it to 5. Even when
Yeah.
we're talking honorable mentions, it's going to be difficult just keeping it short. But yeah, this was a fun list to narrow down.
It was. It's one of the most fun topics we've done. We haven't even got to talk about it yet, but that's how much I really did enjoy doing it.
Mm.
I think the beauty of going back is like just 2021 and 2022 are like 2 of the greatest tournaments I've ever watched.
Yeah.
truthfully. Like, I was going through my, like, old, like, sheet of, like, every single tournament match for both those years, and I was like, "There's just never gonna be a tournament like this again." There really isn't, because like, I think the roster's still amazing,
Mm,
and, there's
mm,
some great blocks, but you had, like, 3 or 4 great matches every single show almost.
mm,
And, when it went to a cork in or something, it was just amazing. Obviously, you had all-timer runs in those tournaments.
mm.
You're gonna get a lot of 2021, 2022 on my list. Um, I just absolutely adore those years. I think they're, like I said, 2 of the best tournaments ever done. To have those go back to back and the stories that they told through that, it's really what I think is prime Stardom are these 2
Yeah.
tournaments. So I wanted to respect that as much as I could, because I think a lot of people these days while watching Stardom kind of think back to those times when, like, man, those were the days,
Mm,
not to say anything bad about current, but that it's been like this since last year. This isn't even just a this year thing.
yeah.
Um, that
I
it
think most
wasn't.
people acknowledge 21, 22 to be kind of peak stardom
Yeah.
for at least the modern era. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's also difficult to rewatch older five-star Grand Prix just because access is difficult, which does
Yeah.
lend a certain bias to the modern stuff as well when doing this
Yeah.
kind of content.
That plus the rosters were just insane. Like, you just had 2 of the best rosters ever. Uh, 2021's an interesting one because it listed the 20-minute time limits for that tournament.
Mm.
Plus, you were doing the 20-person blocks, and then you had or 20 total, and then you had maybe
20
someday,
person blocks.
maybe someday. And
Maybe
then
not. Let's not do that.
I would hope not, unless it's a year tournament. Uh,
Can you
which
imagine if they did 4 blocks like they do this year?
oh gee,
20 person.
there's not enough wrestlers for that. And then you had the 2022, which flipped back to 15, but was 26 wrestlers in 2 blocks. You brought
Mm.
in the likes of Suzu Suzuki and Risa Serra, adding to what was already a loaded roster to begin with. Yeah, so I'm just very excited to talk about this. I love the 5-star Grand Prix. My excitement levels are getting back up there. You can, however, whatever way you feel about current stardom and hate and all the stuff that comes with it. It's the 5-star Grand Prix.
You
It's the most
forgot to get
exciting
the
time of the year.
fringe ready to
I
match
know,
past
I know.
stardom.
We were supposed to wear all black for this. I know, I know. Well, yeah, you got it. You
I'm in
got
the
it.
mood. I'm in the
But we
mood.
needed to we need to wear some
Yeah.
makeup. Wait. I could do the Saya Kamatani heel thing. All right, nailed it. Anyways, I stuck out my tongue. That's the heel thing. And do the eye and the tongue. No, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to it. Trent
Well,
number
wonderful audio content for the people who aren't watching.
I like to think people enjoy watching us, but if they don't, I understand why. It's because we're sticking out our tongues and doing the eye thing. But let's get to it. Trent's number 5 goes first here. That, of course, is Hana Kimura versus Kagetsu from the 2017 5-star Grand Prix.
Yeah. You can have your 2021s and your 2022s, but I'm taking it back. I'm taking it slightly old school, going back to 2017. This is when I was starting to get back into this. Is yeah, I don't hate. I'm going back to the golden era of Oedo Tai, and there's nothing more golden than when Tam Nakano was just about to join the group. Yeah, this is like honestly, this is one of the greatest moments in this faction's history.
Mhm.
You know, Hana Kimura was on the verge of winning the tournament. And Kagetsu said to her in the pre-match promo, because this isn't just a match. This is
Yes.
objectively, this is a fine match. Probably shouldn't be in the top 5 all time, but it's not just the match; it's everything surrounding it. The
Mhm.
pre-match promo when Kagetsu says, "We are making you win the tournament for Oedo Tai," she said, "I'm going to lay down for you." They come out to the ring together. They're holding hands. They're in the corner. Daichi's like trying to force them to have to stand opposite. Kagetsu lays down, and then it's classic Oedo Tai. I'm not letting you win that easily, and you got Chris Wolf, standing outside, doesn't know who she's meant to actually second because Oedo
Mhm.
Tai is not quite a full unit at this point. And then the whole point of this match yes, they want Hana Kimura to win the tournament, move on, but it's part of a grander story where Kagetsu and Kagetsu does this during the red belt reign as well. Doesn't want Hana to win just by winning, wants Hana to prove herself worthy, to prove
Mhm.
herself ready. And the match suddenly becomes a proving ground and a testing
Yeah.
point for her. And through the course of this match, it becomes this great sort of fight and war between these two Oedo Tai members. And it's just something magical begins to unearth from a jokey start, classic Oedo Tai, and it just evolves into a fight and it's emotional. Subjectively, this is one of my most memorable matches in Stardom history.
Mhm.
Does it stack up to the 20-minute classics of 2021 in terms of technical wrestling? Maybe not. But in terms of a pure storytelling match
Yeah.
from beginning to end and everything that happens. Tam Nakano is watching what goes on here, and at the end, Hana's her heart breaks by what goes on here, but then Kagetsu's like, no, this is what needs to happen. And Tam comes out and says, I see what goes on here. I want to join you guys. And so the golden era of Oedo Tai can truly begin from this moment. It's such a special match. And it is one of the around this time I was fully invested in Stardom, and it was this kind of match that told me I'm in for the long haul.
Mhm.
This is the promotion I need to be following over New Japan Pro Wrestling, not as well as over New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's why it's number 5 for me.
Yeah, this is a fantastic match. It's one of the ones that I love that when I went through the long history, I watched this one and understanding the story and what they go for, it is it it's so Stardom.
Mm,
And I have a match on this list that I will talk about later that is similar in fitting the Stardom mold. Yes, you have I think you have the great wrestling that you may look for in
yeah,
terms of the
it's a
actual
great
wrestling.
match
Yeah, but it's
still.
about the story that just lifts it
Mm,
to another level. When I saw you put this on the list, it made me very happy because it was one of the ones that I was debating on
mm.
my list, and I was like, "Okay, we have it represented." That's what matters to me. I was like, "We have it represented," and I think this is a
Yeah,
match that if you have full appreciation for Hana and Kagetsu in that Oedo Tai era, you'll really love this match.
mm,
It's really special. The story, again, like I said, they tell is just excellent. And it's easy to pick up because they tell you the story within the however long that clip is on Stardom World,
yeah. Yeah,
which is
from the
beautiful.
pre-match promo, it's all English subtitled. You can just you don't need to know the story going in. You can just chuck on the Stardom World
Uh-huh.
match, and the story gets laid out for you in English. So it's
Yeah.
great to just chuck on. If you're watching this, you've never seen it, you can watch it from start to finish. You get what's going on. They even say Hana's in
Yeah.
the prime position to win the tournament. You don't have to
Yeah.
watch the tournament to know what's going on. Obviously, if you've watched from the beginning of the tournament, you kind of see oh, Hannah's getting
Yeah.
close, and at this point, she's not a rookie, but her winning the tournament would be a bit of a surprise at this point and be quite a big deal. Um, but yeah, it's Stardom storytelling at its best. They don't always go all in with this kind of storytelling,
Uh-huh.
but it feels like whenever they do, this moment here, Queen's Quest
Yep.
versus Oedo Tai in January 2018, Queen's Quest versus Oedo Tai in the Steel Cage match, and the Cosmic Angel Stars breakup is another great example. When they go all in with this kind of thing, it's some of just the most memorable stuff that Stardom does.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a great way to start our list. Now, mine will pivot away from the story, and it's all about dropping bombs. That
Ooh.
was Syuri versus
Mm.
Takumi Iroha from the 5-star Grand Prix 2021 on the final night, 20-minute time limit draw. If you said at the beginning of this night that Syuri would go 20 minutes, 20-minute classic with Takumi Iroha, and then do what she had to do later that night, I don't think anyone could believe you what she would do on that night. But for me, it's the two-part story that makes this match so great. This
Mm.
is, like I said, this is bomb. after bomb. The first 10 minutes, it's like, all right, we'll do the feel each other out, technical stuff, grappling. That last 10 minutes, I've watched it back recently. It's as good as it was back then. It is
Mm.
two of the best strikers in the game. This is when Takumi just came back from her injury, but she was still at the top of her game in many ways. And this was the end of the tournament, so she was really feeling it by then. And this is godlike Syuri. This is you can't top her at this point. And when as you watch those 20 minutes on one of the best Stardom shows ever, which is that 5-star final 2021, you're just amazed at what these two are able to accomplish after 8 matches going into this, right? They had wrestled
Mm.
8 matches throughout the tournament. We're heading into this grueling final night, and it goes to the buzzer. And you're like, man, like that was one of those matches that I remember it ended. I was like, just keep going. Like, who cares? Like, the 20 minutes flew by for me. Sometimes when you go to time limit draws, you feel it. This was
Mm.
They perfectly crafted it for those 20 minutes. And this was number 5 was heavily debated for me, as you'd expect, because it's the last spot. But I was like, this was part of the Syuri story that I just love so much. It's one of my favorite natural stories through a tournament that I've seen, and I just had to go with the bombs. I just had to take the bombs. These two dropped bombs left and right, kicks in the skulls, strikes, everything I think you love about Joshi. That is what this match is.
Spoiler alert, this won't be the last time Syuri appears on this, which probably surprises nobody watching this. But this match, I think you bring up a very important point. Crafting time limit draws is very difficult to do, and we've seen a lot of great matches falter because they spend too much time trying to do the first half of the match carefully because
Mm-hmm.
they're conserving energy, and that first half just goes too slowly and it doesn't quite connect. The prime example being Maya versus Julia from I think 2021 in January,
Yes.
where like it's such a memorable match and everyone loved it, and then when you rewatch, it's like, oh, that first half is so slow.
Yeah.
But this match does such a great job of making the first 10 minutes just kind of work so well. And I think part of it is these two are so legitimately believable as kind of
Yeah.
mat technicians. And, you can understand that they're both kind of like not scared of each other, but they respect each other's striking game so well that you're not just going to fly headlong into either one of their
Mm-hmm.
striking games. Shuri will kick your head off, and so will Aroha. So, like, you
Yeah.
want to kind of, play your game right, kind of wear the other person down and wait for the opening. But when you get to those final 10 minutes, it's like, well, you can't just wait out the final 10 minutes. Both of them need to win this match. You kind of feel like, although obviously Shuri didn't in the end. It's a well crafted match between two of the best wrestlers in the world. Shuri, this is like, if you could take a wrestler from a point in time and say this is the best version of wrestling, you have an argument that Shuri in
Yeah.
2021 during this era is one of those best examples. You pluck her from this period, you can put her up against, 20 like the mid 90s AJPW and all of that, and it works just as well. And Takumi Iroha, when she's on, and she's on
Mm-hmm.
during this period in the wrestling, and it was difficult for me to leave this off the list
Yeah.
because it is fantastic. I'm not quiet in my love for Takumi Iroha, and her against Shuri is just masterful work. I'm glad to see this represented.
Yeah. And I'll also add this: you have to understand the drama of that final night. For Shuri, it's either
Yes.
draw, I survive, win, and I'm in. For Takumi, it's
Mm.
win or I'm out. So you feel that in those last couple minutes when the drama really kicks in for these two. And I think that's kind of the beauty of these finals matches. Like, you just may see these two and think, oh, that must have been great. But take into account the drama, the fact of what that night ultimately turns out to be for Shuri, and you get a real appreciation for this match. So let's head to Trent's number 4, which was Shuri versus Suzuki from the 5-star Grand Prix 2023. Shuri's on this list a lot, folks.
What did I tell you? She wasn't going anywhere. This like you talk about the 2021 final being one
Yeah.
of the great nights of wrestling for Stardom. This show, the opening night for the 2023 tournament honestly was on track to. I don't necessarily want to say eclipse it because, like, the importance of the final carries with it a certain
Yeah.
way. But if it wasn't for the unfortunate injury in the main event final between Sai Kamitani and Tam Nakano, this night could have been one of the like most perfectly executed nights in Stardom history, because like the first half of the show with all the tournament matches were going great. Then this match just turned it up another gear, and then everything that like it felt like everyone backstage that still had matches to go were kind of like, oh, we have to turn it up another gear. And
Yeah.
now whether they managed to or not, you can debate. There might be matches on this, on this list that we're doing that managed to do it or not. They might appear or not. Don't want to spoil it. But this match to me was just phenomenal. You've got
Yeah.
Syuri, you know, we've said how great she is. And 2023, she's still bloody amazing. And then you just bring in Suzu Suzuki, who to me, like you look at her body of work in the 5-star Grand Prix, it feels like she's one of the best 5-star performers we've had. Because she's
Yeah.
only been in a couple of them, but she just delivers every single time. So you've got two of the best 5-star Grand Prix performers in history going head to head, and it felt like they went out there with a point to prove, and boy did they prove it. This match is just fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as it was announced, it's like, okay, this is right away. It feels like it's going to be one of the matches of the tournament, and it was. It went hard from the start, but it never kind of felt like it was trying to overextend itself. It made sense within the context of what these two were doing. The only kind of moment where you're like, oh, what are you two doing was when Suzu German Sai Kamitani, when Suzu Germaned Shuri off the apron,
Yeah.
and you see May Sarah diving to try and catch her, and spoiler alert, she didn't, and Shuri just took the brunt of it on the floor. I think I said Sire because Souza also did that to Sire, and no one
Yes.
caught her then either. Funny that. But yeah, this match was just constant in its sort of brutality.
Hmm.
And it's funny watching this match after having watched a lot of the sort of older Stardom 5-star Grand Prix matches. And as much as I love them, there's just a swift, like assassin like execution quality to this match
Yeah.
between these two. It's just beautiful to behold. And unlike a lot of matches that I was weighing up, this match actually finishes with a result, which is also a nice bonus. I can't help it. Like I do like definitive results, and that
Yeah.
does hurt. Like your number 5 pick for me is like, it's a draw. I like having a definitive result, and this one had a Shuri victory, which yeah,
Th-
it's
This
nice
would be
having a 1,
my
2, 3.
this would be my highest if 2023 made my list. Spoiler alert, it didn't.
Mm,
But this was like the one that I look at and I'm like, man, just like I think this is I legitimately think this match is overall underappreciated. Like I think because it happened on the first night of the tournament, people can forget these things. And with
yeah.
all the chaos that came with that 2023 tournament, it was easy to
Mm,
forget. But I
yeah.
was looking back and I was like, what from 2023 would I consider putting on this list? It was this and like Tam and Mayu. That was about it. Like those were the only two
Mm,
matches that I was like, maybe. I was like, and this one made the final cuts. This
yeah.
was on the short list, and I was like, the reason it doesn't make my list is just because like there's just certain other parts of it.
Mm,
This is for me, this is the bombs match. Like it would have been kind of between the Shuri and Takumi thing.
yeah.
I went with that story, but this is just a phenomenal match. One of the best. I'm very happy it's on this card because I think one, getting Suzu on here is deserving, and two, honestly, we could have just made a top 5 of Shuri 5-star matches, and it would have been
I
easy.
literally did that in 2021 when I did
Yeah,
my review of that year's tournament. I had to separate Shuri matches and everyone else's because I
yeah,
wanted to be fair to everyone else and give them a chance to shine. There's a lot of 2020. I actually think 2023 it's hampered by like the injuries and the
yeah.
drama surrounding it. Like that this night that I'm talking about, I'll spoiler alert because like I don't have other 2023, but the Mayu Hazuki match that comes straight
That's
after
great.
this
Yeah,
phenomenal. And then you had Julius Sayori right after, which
yeah,
I was close to considering because of just the sheer
I consider
brutality.
that too. Yeah.
Azumi versus Utami at Kurikan Hall later in the tournament.
Hmm.
That's a really, really good match too. And I think that's very underappreciated because it's just in the middle of the tournament.
Yeah.
And by then, I think people are kind of like, okay, we kind of know what's going on with the tournament and
Yeah.
the fatigue was starting to set in. But that's a underappreciated match too. But nothing in that year matched what this did.
No, there's a lot. It's funny going back through the 2023 one because you're like, oh, I forgot how great that was. Oh, like I really love Syuri and Natsupoi from that tournament as well. That's an
Yeah.
incredibly told story where Natsupoi survives the 15 minutes.
Mm.
It felt like the launching point for where she is now. Spoiler, Syuri, good. But yeah, I think 2023 is always it's going to go down as such an interesting tournament to look at when it's all said and done because there's just
Yeah.
such great wrestling within it, but it's forgotten by the end because of all the injury woes that really hurt that really final week. It felt like you lost like every match on every show by the time you got to the final. It was like, let's see what we
The
can.
Red Stars block started really strong, and it felt
Yeah.
like they kind of threw all their eggs in the basket early. And because you lost Sai Kamatani so early, it felt like a lot of her big matches were towards the end of the tournament, which then resulted in a lot
Mhm.
of the big matches just not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's unfortunate. Little did I know that was the
Mm.
last time I'd get babyface Saya Kamatani in a 5-star Grand Prix, but I digress. Anyways, next match is my next match, and this is my number 4. The finals of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. That is Tam versus Julia, with Julia overcoming Tam in the end. You're gonna hear this a lot through my descriptions. A lot of my matches come down to the story that's being told. And this night, again, I want to give credit to Suzu and Julia early in the night, which I was on the chopping block. I will not lie to you. It was there. I was like, I can't do it, but I side with the final because for me, I would have to say it's between this and the big one, the original big one that they had, the hair one.
Mm, mm,
That's like I think this is them at their best. This was
yeah,
just a violent race to win. That's what
mm,
this was. And it was Julia overcoming the woman who set her back for so many years. It wasn't even months. It was years in terms of getting back to the top of Stardom, something that everyone imagined she'd be at so much sooner. And obviously things have gone the way they have and it didn't go the way it should have. I feel like with Julia on top as world champion and we know that. But this match and this run for Julia is so special to me in my fandom. It was the perfect end to a tournament that was just unbelievable. Like the
mm,
2022 tournament special, that final night is one of my favorite shows I've ever seen in my life. And this was why it concluded with these two doing what they do best. Forget the graps, forget figuring each other out. We're going to go out there and we're going to run through one another. We're going to slap the taste out of each other's mouths. We're going to drop each other on each other's heads as much as possible. It's a fantastic final. It's a fitting final, I think, for the story. Um, and this will go down, I think, as Julia's greatest moment in Stardom. It's not her greatest match because, listen, the Syuri match was her greatest match, I think. Julia had a lot of great matches, but I think that Syuri match
mm.
for the title was. But this moment, the conclusion of this return to the top and this tournament where she fought her demons and brought back the ice ribbon aspect with Sue Suzuki and then finally got over Tam again. It's just perfect for me. And when I look at this match and I watch it back, it's also like their fastest match, which is very beneficial because they like to do the over dramatic. This wasn't that. This was, again, I'm going to kill you. That's what we're doing. I'm going to kill you because I want to be the 5-star winner. And I almost forget that Tam was in the finals of a 5-star, which is very funny because, like,
Yeah.
I just remember Julia, like, go into that tournament. Remember, like, I remember the entrance that Julia had, right? Coming down from the thing. It was like, oh my God, this is the moment. Like, this is the moment. Tam had to be there to complete the story. So I
Mm.
appreciate her efforts in that, and I really wanted to get this match on there because I just fondly remember everything about that show, everything about this moment, and they they beat the snot out of each other too, so that never hurts my ratings.
It's it's funny, they almost benefited by the fact they had to wrestle a match beforehand, and especially in
Yes,
Julia's case, she had a 15-minute draw. So, like, they had to expend a certain amount of energy, so they couldn't do quite the same amount of drawn out dramatics beforehand because they love to, pour on the drawn out aspect, and it
right.
works for them, but it does set course a certain type of match, and this forced them to tell the same match but in a slightly different way. And I think that definitely benefited them. And I do agree that their two best matches are either this one or All Star Dream Cinderella. I always have to pause and remind myself what that show is
I'm
called
happy
because
it
I
was
always
you,
want to
me.
yeah, I always want to chuck Queendom on it, but it's not
Yeah,
Queendom back then. It was Cinderella.
they
They
weren't
love the
queens.
Cinderella nickname for that time. But yeah, it's those two matches for me. And this one definitely, I think, because you had that little bit extra story behind it, with as you
Hmm.
said, Julie lost her hair, and it's basically a year and a half since she lost the hair, lost that kind of momentum. She had to build it
Yeah,
back. She had the five-star Grand Prix ripped out from underneath her the year before due to injury, and she'd finally built herself back up to this moment. Yeah, clawed her way into the final with that draw with Suzu, and then found herself with Tam of all people. And you're right, like the whole tournament had been about Julia, and it's kind of funny that Tam was there, but
mhm,
it was all about Julia.
yeah,
And the match is just a fantastic story of of course it had to be Tam that Julia had to conquer to get to that moment, to get to Syuri in the end. The match is fantastic. It sort of finishes off that incredible 2-year stretch of five-star Grand Prix tournaments, and there's a reason why when 2023 came around, like, just the buzz was so electric for the tournament because of what
yeah,
would come before it. This incredible 2-year run of tournaments with, you know, not just the finals, but everything building up to it, and it the heights were so high that
yeah,
even if injuries and the cursed run of that tournament didn't happen, it would have been difficult for that year to have matched up to it just in of itself.
yeah, absolutely. It was. I think you can really look at that. Well, I like to look at Queendom because of Juliet versus Shuri. That was the capper on just an incredible 2-year run that this company had.
Mm,
But even if you wanted to say it was here, like this moment, her standing on top, and because then she's going to go on to win the title. I think you could even say that because it was just such a incredible run for Stardom. But our next match here is number 3 for Trent and myself. We have our first
oh!
double match. And that is Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe from the 5-star Grand Prix 2021. It is classic. It is amazing. Uh this match, I I think back to it all the time when I want to get in my sad mind of what Momo once was. I also think back of it all the time because these two have had so many great matches. Like they're just like the easiest duo to put in a match in Stardom. All right, let's go have a banger. Come back.
Mm,
Right? You've seen it for titles. You've seen it in tournaments. You've seen it
mhm,
all the time. And this year we're gratefully getting another one. But I watched this match and I just like this is what tournament wrestling is supposed to be. The drama, the excitement, bring out the new finish, night one for Momo. These two killed it. Absolutely
mm.
killed it. I just remember like watching this match and I was like, that was everything. And at the time, these were my two favorite wrestlers. So like that didn't hurt either. But I'm happy I wasn't alone putting this on my list at number 3.
These two have fought 8 times in the past. This is their best match together.
Mhm.
And that's some high praise because they've had some tremendous matches together in the past. But this is like people were wanting to see Momo at this point in time. Like people remembered how good Momo was, and they wanted to see that fire return in Momo. And this match, like that fire had returned. There was something electric about her. She debuted a new finishing move, but like everything that she was doing in this match reminded people why in 2018 and 2019 she was the future ace of the company, why they put the white belt on her, and why everyone was like, she's the heir apparent. This is why EO basically said to her, go lead the company into the future. Because
Yeah.
what she was doing in the ring against Mayu was nothing short of tremendous. And then, of course, you've got Mayu Iwatani. Now, if you've been listening to anything either one of us has ever produced, podcast form, video form, written form, you don't need us to say anything more. She's the GOAT. She's the best. So this, yeah, it's just phenomenal match. Like I remember like when I was initially writing out, okay, what matches do I think are going to be on this list? I remember having this
Mhm.
on the short list. I thought I feel like it's probably going to be 4 or 5. I don't think it's going to be top 3. And I rewatched it, and I'm about halfway through. I'm like, oh, oh,
Yeah.
am I forgetting how good this was?
Hmm.
Because I'm halfway through, and I'm like, this is better than Suzu versus Syuri. I'm like, I know it's better than versus Kagetsu versus Hana. And then like I'm halfway through, I'm like, I know this like turns up a gear. Because the first half is good, but like
Yeah.
these two turn up again. And this match just keeps going, keeps getting better and more electric. And I'm like, okay, well, I forgot your game. This is a top 3 match. And like I was nearly considering putting it second.
Yeah.
It just like I'm happy with it at number 3, but like this match is just like one of those perfect matches that if you just need to show someone how good Stardom can be on several levels, from an athletic standpoint, from just like a match storytelling standpoint, and just from like a these women hit hard. If you want to
Yeah.
believe that they want to hurt each other and just like crispness of wrestling, you can charm this match. And the beautiful
Yeah.
thing is, oh well, I want to see more from these two. Great, because they're going to be wrestling again in like 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. At Cork and Hall of all places.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I,
Sure, Momo's going to look a little different. She's probably going to be, using a baseball bat, but
they still turn it on when they feel like it. That's the thing about these two. They can do
mm,
that whenever they want.
Momo's 3-1 in 5-star Grand Prix against Mayu, by the way.
Wouldn't be shocked if that goes to 4-1. Just based off that block and Mayu needing to lose once in a while. But I look at this match. I look back at this match and I think of all the 5-star Grand Prix matches I've watched, and I'm like, is this the best match that has like no super in-depth story to it, or it's on the final night that the
Mm,
tournament has produced? And I'm like, in terms of like just an overall wrestling match, like just take all the outside stuff out of it, it's one of the best in Stardom's history. Like just in terms of the wrestling. And I think with
mm.
the 5-star Grand Prix, some matches are better because of the story that they're telling and
Yeah.
the drama of it. This didn't need that. This was for 2 points on the
Mm.
opening day, and they
It
just
was important for re-establishing Momo over the
absolutely,
course of this tournament because I think, you see her make the final of this year's tournament,
yeah,
the 2021 tournament. And I think you needed to see how serious she was to win it. And this was kind of a renewed Momo Watanabe. And like chucking her up against Maya where she can really just unleash and do what she did here, it made everyone wake up and go, oh, okay, this is the Momo we wanted to see. And suddenly you
yeah.
believe her getting back to the promised land, so to speak.
I greatly miss that moment. Every day. Every day I miss that Momo. And I think I'm gonna be missing Momo again soon here. But let's go to your number 2. Your number 2 was, of course, Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani from the 2015 5-star Grand Prix.
Yeah, but winding the clock back a bit. This is not a recent 5-star Grand Prix. So much so that we don't have like the graphics available for it. We
Yeah,
just
the
have
graphic was in the image. I was happy about that.
to.
Made my day, actually.
But
I was like, yes.
yeah, on the surface, probably not surprising. Io Shirai versus Mayu Iwatani. They had a 5-star Grand Prix match. Are we surprised it's a top 5-star Grand Prix match? Probably not. But like this was one of the ones again. Like when I was making my list, I'm like, I remember this being really good, and I'm like, but is this like a bias thing? Is this a thing of the heart? Because to give you some context, this was one of the very first matches I ever saw from Stardom. Yeah.
Mhm.
When I first got into Stardom, I remember just hearing about and then trying to find any matches I could from Mayu of Io and Kairi. So when I stumbled upon this match and I didn't know what the 5-star Grand Prix was. I didn't even know it was a tournament match. I just saw Mayu and I saw Io and I'm like, great, cool, I'm gonna watch it. Spoiler alert, this match ends in a draw. And it's kind of one of those draws where it's like Mayu goes for a pinfall and they're counting to three. And what happens is Io kicks out. I think they probably botched the finish a little bit. She has to kick out of a poison rana, and then the bell rings just after the kick out. I think probably the bell was meant to ring during the pinfall account. I remember watching it for the first time. I'm confused. Like, is this? Did she win? Was this a draw? I couldn't quite work it out. But I remember absolutely adoring this match. So much so that I had to like find this match and save it. And I'm glad I did because you can't really find this match anymore. It's a bloody difficult match to find. It's not on Stardom Well. So what I've done for all of you people listening, for all of you people watching, if you want to watch this match, I've gone and uploaded it to. I'm about to say I've uploaded it to Stardom World. I wish I had that power. I've uploaded it to YouTube. So if you search Mayu Iwatani versus Io Shirai 2015, you can find it on YouTube. You can watch it for yourself. It's a 15-minute classic. And I want to make a point when I say this. This wasn't bias. This isn't me going, oh, I remember back in the day, this is what got me into Stardom. No, this is a legitimate banger and a half. I put this above their 2017 match. It's that good. It's on par with their first 2016 match. It doesn't have the story of the three matches that they had for the World Championship. And obviously, Mayu Iwatani's not quite as good as she was the next year. But there's not that much time difference between here in August and then when she first challenges for the title in May. So you're getting a pretty much there, Mayu Iwatani, versus obviously Io Shirai, just about her best. These two go out there for 15 minutes and just go ham on each other. It's one of their first chances to really do it, especially now they're at the levels where they can properly fight each other the way they do. And it's just a masterclass. And Kirk Hall is hot for it, as you would expect. It's just beautiful. It's magical. And yeah, now if you've never had the chance to watch it, I presume it won't get taken down because you can't watch it any other way legally. So go onto YouTube, search Mayu Iwatani versus Io Shirai 2015. Currently has 0 views, shocker, because I just uploaded it like 2-3 hours before we started recording this. Go and watch it. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Uh, I know you just wanted to get EO on here. Like, you just say that. Like, I just know you wanted to get EO on the list, which, I respect because she deserves to be on this list. In all seriousness, we've talked about Mayu and EO so many times in the past couple episodes, so it's just like, why not one more? And then deservedly so. Why not
Mm.
one more?
Again,
Um,
this was a match I thought, okay, with my personal bias, it's probably at 4 because it's 2015. It's probably not
yeah.
going to be. But then, like as I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like it is. It's 2015. They're not to the level they would get to, but they get like a rivalry bonus because they're best friends, and it's like
Mhm.
they always go extra hard at each other, and
Yeah.
it is legitimately. Like I was watching, I'm like, oh crap, yeah, no, this is so much better than I even
Yeah.
remember when I first started getting into it because I can appreciate who I'm watching. It's not just,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
these women can go hard at each other and
Right.
oh, they can do things that I didn't think women could do because I just remember women being divas in wrestling. And it's just two of the best in the world doing just incredible stuff.
Yeah, it's a match where I think if you watch it, especially at the time you watch it, your eyes are probably like, "What have I been missing?" all this
Mm.
time. You know, it's that kind of thing. And obviously, we've talked about 2015, it's 2016, and 2017. Io is on another world, another universe at
Mhm.
that time. So you can imagine the effort she's putting in here. And, you know, obviously, she's on her way to being at the top of Stardom again, as you'd expect, because of course she is. Um, but I think this match is very important if you want to further appreciate their story. It's just like an added bonus. It's like,
Mm.
oh, see it before the trilogy, you know, like
Mm.
that kind of
Mm.
thing. Like you said, it does get the added bonus of them being best friends. And I think added bonuses are always very important with matches. And my number two, I don't think there's anyone on this world that loves this match as much as I do, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And I've accepted that when the match was over. And that, of course, is Mayu Iwatani versus Starlight Kid from the 2022 5-star Grand Prix. Added bonuses are very important, Trent. This match had an added bonus for me. When I watch these two step in the ring, gone is the Oedo Tai shenanigans, and it's a Starlight Kid that is trying to prove herself against the one woman she wants to reach. She wants to reach the level of Mayu Iwatani. And everyone knows how devastated I was when I didn't get the follow up last year. And I'm not getting it this year. I'm getting kind of upset about it. Now they're just pushing it off. And, you know, we might get to a point where I may never see it again. So that's besides the point. That being said, I love this match because this match is about Starlight Kid trying to prove herself to Mayu. The year before, she's fresh into a Wado tie. She's snarky. She's young. She just thinks she can do what she wants. And Mayu almost kind of embarrasses her in a way. It's not pure embarrassment, but it's to the point where it's like, all right, move on. Like you're not at my level yet. Fast forward 1 year later, Starlight Kid accomplishes a lot since then. She had the high speed title run. She had the tags with Momo. Sorry, draw a blank here. Getting late. She had done so much. The artist reign as well, which was a great reign. She had done so many things. She had challenged for so many titles. She challenged for the Wonder. She had really climbed up. And you saw her in this tournament, right, with the Julia match, obviously stand up to Julia. She had a great run. But every time we get to that final night and it's Mayu versus Starlight Kid, I get myself excited because it's a continued story. Every single match they have is a story that follows the last one. It doesn't matter how long it's been since they had the match, it doesn't matter what's happened for each of them since they had the match. That story is continuing. And Starlight Kid stepped in that ring and showed to Mayu Iwatani that she was that much better. She was that much closer. You got to remember she had learned the leg crusher recently. She utilizes that in this match to perfection. And Mayu Iwatani is the best in the world for a reason. There is no one that makes you believe she might be out better than Mayu Iwatani. I remember her having that leg crusher in, and Mayu Iwatani doesn't tap, but you have to remember earlier in the year, what did Mayu Iwatani lose to against Syuri in a finish that I still am angry about to this day? A damn what's the name of the move? Stretch muffler? Is that the name of the move?
Yeah, it's the stretch
Yeah.
muffler.
She lost to that. And I'm just sitting there thinking like they're not gonna give the Starlight Kid win now. And I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. They made this move very important. Break down the leg of Mayu, break down the leg of Mayu. And once Mayu gets to that rope, you see her flip the switch. You see Mayu go from, okay, I'm your teacher. I'm gonna see what you have now to, oh, I gotta finish you off. Like that's enough. And that's exactly what she does. I did the similar thing because I didn't need to watch the rest of them. I know where these place, but this match I've always known I am higher on than probably everyone that's ever watched it. And it's probably because I just care about the story way too much, and that's okay. But I rewatched it and I found myself getting invested all over again, as if I was watching it for the first time. I watched Starlight Kid try and prove herself, and by the end of it, she feels like she's just not ready yet. And through a Wado tie, she was thinking she was getting to that level. She had the confidence going into that match, and she just couldn't put Mayu away. Neither of these two were even in the conversation for the tournament anymore. This was about them, and I think that's why I love it so much. The tournament had nothing to do with this. This was the chance for them to tell their story, and I'm just upset that it's not happening anytime soon. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. It's a story that's so perfect though that it should have its eventual end, whether Mayu moves on, whether Kid does whatever she wants. Like, it needs its eventual end before whatever happens. If Mayu were to leave Stardom next year, she should lose to Starlight Kid on the way out. That's my opinion, because if
Yeah.
Starlight Kid's staying, that's the most important story for her to finish, not the Tam story. No offense to, and I think she's gonna finish that story before she would leave anyways. But to me, it's the Starlight Kid win, because for a lot of people, myself included, it feels like Starlight Kid finally getting that big title doesn't happen until she could truly beat Mayu. She may get the title before that, but it feels like it can't happen. And that's the beauty of this story. That's the beauty of this match. It just showed she wasn't ready yet. Little did I know that 2023 would be a year off for Starlight Kid, as we talked about earlier this year. But I love this match. I love the story that's told. Story goes a long way for me in these tournament matches, and they always go an even longer way when it comes to Mayu Iwatani.
This is one of those matches where the story itself, obviously, if you follow it as intently as we do,
Yeah.
is that much stronger for us because you've got the years of backstory, and even just like from year to year, 2021 going to 2022. But like, if you don't really know the story, you can kind of piece it together watching the match itself.
Mm-hmm.
It plays out pretty clearly over the course of the match, and just the use of the leg crusher, the submission kind of work, and then Mayu just flicking the switch. It's a simple story, but it's executed so well. And that's the beauty of that kind of storytelling, is you don't need to overly complicate things. You've got a very simple student versus trainer kind of story arc here. And you wrap it up with just phenomenal wrestlers doing
Yes.
phenomenal wrestling, and two people at the top of their craft. Like, Mayu being so good at both bumping, but particularly selling. And,
Mm-hmm.
when she's in that kind of submission uh, finisher or just submission hold, she's so good at making it look like she's in serious trouble. And so you're buying that kind of move has kind of caught her off guard. And it's like, oh crap,
Yeah.
who taught this to her? Because I didn't.
Yep.
Maya's not a submission specialist unless she's working with someone as small as Kid that she can use that dragon sleeper on. But it's wonderful because Starlight Kid for years has kind of been just chasing Mayu. And this was the first year where it felt like, oh, she's close.
Yeah.
2021, she was dominating the tournament, but it kind of felt like she was an upstart surprising everyone. 2022 finally felt like she was maybe not equal with Mayu, but she was getting there. And so that's, again, as you said, like, they didn't have a horse in the race in terms of like trying to make the finals. But when you have storytelling interwoven through these tournaments, that's how you make the final night matter. Even when matches don't have implications, they can still have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you craft these kind of nights well.
Yeah.
Even when not every match has that final night, points implication, they're still must watch. There's no toilet breaks on these final
Right.
night shows because you've got a match like this that's been perfectly built up over years, and then the match itself delivers as well as it does.
This show is one of the most insane shows I've ever watched. Before we just get to our
Mm,
honorable mentions and ones, this is kind of the start of our honorable mentions here. This show had Hazuki and Momo, which was
mm,
great. Had this match after Julia and Suzuki after
mhm,
the first Micah and Hameka match, where they just ran into each other as hard as humanly possible. You also had Syuri and Risa Sarah on there, and you had, of course, the Tam Julia final. That was
mm.
all one show.
Yeah.
Unfair what that final was. Um, what are some of your honorable mentions that haven't been talked about here today that you just like to give the respect to, the love to? Because I think there's a
Yeah.
long list. we'll try to limit it a little bit. But there was
Of
a lot of
course.
matches I thought of. I was like, oh, I love that match. It's not top 5. Oh, but I love that match. That
Mm.
kind of thing.
So I'm gonna be careful here because I could go for a long time. I want to show a lot of love in general to 2019
Hmm.
because obviously we've talked a lot about 2021, 2022, and I've kind of mentioned a little bit about the ones I loved about 2023. But 2019 had a lot of matches that I really wanted to try and put in.
Yeah.
There was a few from like the final night where you had Arisa Hashiki versus Kagetsu, which was a fantastic match. You had Hana Kimura versus Hazuki, which was a really good match and really overshadowed the final of that night, Hana versus Konami. And I tried so hard to get Kagetsu versus Jungle Kiona in the top 5 because I really love that match, and for obvious reasons, they're two of my favorites. Um, but it was just outside the top 5 for me. But that is a phenomenal match and kind of fits the bill where you got two just great wrestlers going ham, and it features both of them just kind of at their strengths doing the best things, and those two always had great chemistry. But yeah, 2019 is one of those years where it just had a lot of really good matches that would feature in this kind of list if it wasn't for just the sheer strength of the later years of the tournament, where it's just you had arguably just probably more consistently deep matches across the board. But if you're looking for kind of pre Bushi Road, and technically that is Bushi Road era in a way, but
Hmm.
before they officially take over, you've just got that depth of talent, but a lot of wrestlers that you don't see in current
Yeah.
day Stardom. Go back and watch some of those tournament matches because there's so much good stuff.
Yeah.
You get Oeda Tai Hazuki, Kagetsu Risa Hoshiki. You get that kind of early Tam where she's just
Mhm.
starting to piece it together. She's a little bit sketchy at times, but you're seeing it all start to come together. You're seeing that Mayu Iwatani where she's still doing that amazing stuff. Best version of Konami for me. Best version of Jungle Kiona. That's just best version of Momo Watanabe. It's just the best version of Stardom for a lot of people. Just before they kind of go big in that era of Bushiroad, there was so much good stuff
Yeah.
happening around that time. So my honorable mentions is kind of cheating. It's just 2019.
Yeah. To shout out a 2019 match, I love Hana versus Momo Watanabe in that tournament.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite tournament matches. I've talked about it on this show. I've talked about it on a million shows. I love Hana's entire run.
Mm,
When you when you focus on the winner and the story that is told along the way, Hana's is one of the best.
mm,
It includes being super confident. It includes being shocked. It includes being having to go in there in must wins against Mayu Iwatani and Momo Watanabe back to back, which at the time is like the ultimate gauntlet of
mm,
back to backs that you'll see in Stardom. That Momo match is fantastic. It's one of my favorite Hana matches. Um, Hana really hit her stride in that tournament.
mm.
Obviously you see it in the Julia match later that year, and you see it in the B match in which she challenges for that belt, and you know that is one I love. But so 2019 is a great shout. Um, Another one that I talked about it earlier, but Syuri and Natsupoi from last year.
Yeah.
I like to focus a lot on these story matches, and that is one that's a really beautiful story for Natsupoi in her career, and you see it in the post match how much that meant to her of not losing. It wasn't
Mm,
about
mm,
necessarily winning or surviving, but proving that she is on the level that Syuri has so long been at in Stardom, right? Syuri is the highest level in that company. And if you can show that you can hang, you deserve all the respect in the world. And not only did Natsupoi hang, she almost won. It's just like it's such a great match. It's such a great match. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm I'm getting my Syuri list here going. It's only fair that we just get a Syuri list going. But one match I did want to add, which I know you love, 2022. Cork Hall main
You're
event.
going to mention my Suzu versus Mirai match, are you?
Of course I am. I wanted to lead you
The
right
match
into
I
it.
overrate more than any other match.
Yes, I wanted to
I'm
bring
nearly
you
going to
right
put it
into it.
on this list just for a laugh.
It's so good.
It is.
It's
It
just
is.
I think it's Mirai's best Stardom match.
Yeah.
Well, best match overall, but I think it's the Mirai we see today
Yeah.
in the fullest form. I think that's the most Mirai we ever saw in Stardom.
Mm,
Is that match against Suzu? Her and Suzu just
yeah.
clicked perfectly.
Yeah. It is a phenomenal match. It is. I another one I wanted to put on the list, but like it's just I would have had to have dropped Hana versus
Mhm,
Kagetsu,
of
and it's
course,
like bell to bell, it's probably a better match,
sure.
but just it doesn't mean as much to me.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I just wanted to bring
Mm,
it up.
for sure.
I guess my last one I'll bring up because it's another that I just love, probably more than most people, is Julia versus Suzuki from the opening night of the 2022 5-star Grand Prix.
Mm,
That was the ultimate maximize your minute, have a crazy freaking match. You remember their history. Obviously, the last time they went one on one,
yeah.
it was not like that at all. Hazuki wanted obviously out of the company. She's talking about how she has to lose to Julia first, all this nastiness. And then you see them go out here. And I just remember screaming, Brain Buster when Hazuki won. It was the greatest thing. And obviously, it started that great Hazuki run to start that tournament.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
just an awesome match. There's so many awesome matches though through the history. I don't think there's any wrong choices for most of your top 5. However, there's only one choice for number 1.
For us, anyways.
No, there's only one choice for number 1. It's the greatest final in the history of Stardom. It's one of the greatest matches in the history of Stardom. It is everything you want in a tournament final, and that, of course, is Momo Watanabe versus Syuri in the 5-star Grand Prix final 2021. As you talked about earlier with the Momo Mayu match, this was about building her up, right? Momo getting back to the highest point. Obviously, they turned her later that year, so whoop-de-doo. But in this tournament, Momo returned to form, if not her greatest form. This tournament was a superstar performance with match. This match being truly phenomenal. And it's the only match I think we can ever talk about where someone doesn't wrestle earlier than night. And they are going against someone that wrestled for 20 minutes after an absolute slugfest. And no one's going to bat an eye if they lose because that's who Syuri was in 2021. You have to
Yeah.
all remember that. Momo was supposed to wrestle on that final night. Julia got injured, so that match was canceled. She wrestled in a 3-way with the sisters, which didn't matter. She had no part of it.
And
It was
lost.
and lost. She didn't even win. It was like maybe 4 minutes long. She didn't do nothing. She had to watch Syuri wrestle for 20 minutes against Takumi Iroha. And this was also the year that they did the backstage videos of both of them
Mm,
getting ready. Oh my
mm.
God. It's the greatest thing ever. You just get hyped for that match. And then they go out there and they do the damn thing. I talked about how I love the Tam and Julie match because they went out there and just threw bombs and it was about winning. This is that times a million. Like that is what this match is. You watch it at any time, you show it to anyone. It is pro wrestling greatness in there. This is a match that I can't recommend enough. I loved it, and it was one of those matches where I remember at the time people obviously love Momo. They love her so much. Her winning would have been so right because, getting back to the top, but Shuri was undeniable. And you felt it through the entire tournament. You felt it on that night with Takumi. She wasn't going into that final to lose. And they had an incredible match, completing what I thought is the best night I've ever seen from a wrestler, having 2 unbelievable matches back to back, with this being bona fide 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. It's just phenomenal.
It speaks to how good Shuri was during this time because the Momo fan base out west is pretty opinionated. Especially around this era. I think by 2024 they've been beat into the dirt enough. They're
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
sitting with the Kiona fans have accepted their fate. But in 2021 they were still, they believed. For better or worse, they believed. So for them to get their girl into the finals, she hadn't wrestled. She had a match. She hadn't wrestled in the night before that night. The other person wrestled 20-minute match, had her ass kicked, literally right before the final.
Yeah.
She didn't get any time to rest, and then going to this match for Momo to lose and no one to have an issue with it, I think speaks to A, how good the match was, B, just how great Syuri was and how believable she was in this position,
Yeah.
and just how perfectly the tournament had set her up in this position. Because I know going into the tournament, everyone kind of thought, oh, it's going to be Julia's winning this tournament. Like that was the common feeling. But then, of course, we were still riding the high of Utami Syuri. So when Julia got injured and they pivoted to Syuri, it felt so natural to the point now where like it the thought that Julia was meant to win in 2021 just seems ludicrous because
Yep.
it's so perfect in 2022, as you alluded to in your number 3 pick. This match is like just so utterly perfect. And you talk about you can show this match to anyone. I did. I've shown this match to a group of wrestling fans who hadn't really watched Stardom before. And they're like, oh, we're curious. We've been hearing things about Stardom. And this wasn't that long after this match. And I'm like, I've got a match to show you. Come
Yeah.
on in. Like, I showed this match to them. And by the end of it, like, we're on voice chat, we're watching, and they were, yeah, I'm nervous showing Stardom. It's the first time I'd really
Yeah.
done this kind of thing, and like just hearing them get amped for it as well. And they were, rising at the moment they should be rising, so to speak. And it's just like, yeah,
Mhm.
this is working. By the end of it, they were like, okay, we want more Stardom. Show us more Stardom. How do we get into this? How do we get on board? And it's like that to me is like the simplest expression of how good is this match. A bunch of people who didn't really know the story, they just know there's two people wrestling in a tournament final can just be
Yeah.
suckered in by just the electricity of this match, because that's what this is. It's an electric match. Two phenomenal strikers. You don't need to have watched the show beforehand. It's a fantastic show. Shuri versus Takumi is a phenomenal match. The whole show prior, you had Utami versus Tam Nakano. I think that's a match that's unfairly forgotten how great
Mhm.
that match was. There's a bunch of great matches on this show, but this match just like every time I watch it, and I've watched it several times since, because it's just sometimes you just need like an old faithful that you can chuck on and
Yeah.
just know that you're just going to be smiling throughout. And this is just one of those matches that delivers on every front. It's it doesn't falter at any point. There's no real dips in like electricity. There's no awkward moments. It's just kind of
Yeah.
artistry at its best when it comes to professional wrestling. Two people that went out there on a mission and just nailed it at every point. This is
Yeah.
best 5-star Grand Prix matches. If we're talking best Stardom matches, it's at the very least on the short list as well.
I, as a Stardom live viewer, I have had the feeling of I'm witnessing something special 3 times. 3 times.
Julia versus Shuri, this match,
And
and
Shuri and Utami, the
yeah,
big one.
of course, yeah.
Which brings me to the point that any other year, this would have been easily my match of the year.
Mm,
This just happened to be the same year as Utami and Shuri, which is just it's a completely different match, but it speaks to the world that Shuri was on that year that no one came close to. As you said, you had to make a list of top Shuri matches because it was so unfair in that
mm,
tournament. A tournament, mind you, that had fantastic matches throughout the tournament from all these other
yeah.
wrestlers. They
If
just
the
weren't
other people
Shuri.
hadn't delivered, I wouldn't have bothered. But they
Right.
deserved their spotlight.
They deserve a spotlight. They just weren't Shuri. And that
Mm,
is the beauty of what she was in that year. And it's just incredible to think back to. I think out of I've watched a lot of wrestling in my life. A lot. You have too. This is probably one of
not
the
as much,
easy.
but
Maybe. I don't know. I don't count the hours. You never know. It could be equal. But I don't know. Shut up. This is not the point. You're ruining my point. I think this is one
I
of the
do that.
most rewatchable matches I've ever seen. And I think some matches are so hard to rewatch because either it was in the moment of greatness or even so you're like, I don't know if that's gonna hold up. This match I know is gonna hold up. It's 18 minutes of unbelievable strikes, action, nonstop. And the fact that they went at this pace after Shuri had wrestled 20 minutes, not even like, they had the Tam and Utami match wedged in the middle of this, which I think you're right. I think this is like, I don't know if Stardom's ever had a 3-match run, like Takumi and Shuri, Tam and Utami, and then this. Like, that is as good as it gets. And the fact that Shuri did 2 of them in an hour is unbelievable. But she was undeniable in this tournament. Like you said, I think the best way to give this compliment is that no one could fight it. No one could fight her winning this match, despite all the circumstance, despite the many Momo fans, despite all these things working against Shuri in a way for fans. It didn't matter because it had to happen. What a match. What a fun run we just had here, huh? A lot of Shuri. Shuri had 4 matches on our top 5 each. Well, 2 each. 2 each?
Yeah.
2 each. 2 each.
Two each. Yeah, we had
more.
one that matched and one that was different.
I almost jokingly did all Shuri matches. It would have been a lie.
I mean,
but
it would have been believable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I didn't want to lie, but like, I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. I made it listed. I was like, would anyone argue with this? No.
The thing is, you could have very easily put more Shuri in here without it like being an issue, and then
Yeah.
it would have been like if you got to 3 or 4, like if you got
Mhm.
to 4, it would have been like you got to commit to the bit.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
if you get to 3, it becomes like, oh, this is kind of awkward.
Yeah, because there's a Shuri Tam match from the 2021 5-star that I absolutely adore. It's the most non-Tam match I've ever seen. And when I say that, it's like she went out there to do the Shuri match, and
Yeah.
it's like it kind of mirrors the Arisa version of Tam without the story part. It's just the bombs and the craziness, and yeah, I could have made a list for Shuri, and maybe someday we will. We'll just make Shuri's
I mean,
top 10.
you could nearly put the Utami match from 2022
Yes,
if
that was
it's not
also
overshadowed by the other Utami matches. Yeah.
it's unbelievable what Shuri did in that 2-year span, really. But that's it here for the Stardom Road podcast. Hope everyone enjoyed going through our best matches. I did want to leave an idea if you want to know where to find these matches. It's pretty simple. Thankfully, most of them are on Stardom World. This is 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 wait a minute. This is an audio podcast. I have to say this out loud. Hana Kimura versus Kagetsu from the 2017 5-star Grand Prix is on Stardom World. Shuri versus Takumi Iroha from the 5-star Grand Prix 2021 is on Stardom World. Shuri versus Sue Suzuki from the 5-star Grand Prix 2023 is on Stardom World. Mayu Iwatani versus Momo Watanabe from the 5-star Grand Prix 2021 is on Stardom World. The finals of the 5-star Grand Prix 2022 between Tam and Julia is on Stardom World. Have fun finding it, though. It's very hard because you got to like type in just 5-star Grand Prix because they don't give away the finals. So just
Which is nice of them.
It is. But like, I'd like to find it easier.
It is
this
funny how
is
they
not.
sometimes spoil things they sometimes don't.
Yes. So the sad news, this is not on Star. EO versus Mayu Iwatani from the 2015 5-star Grand Prix is not on Star World, but it is on YouTube. Thank you, Trent. So thank you for that. Mayu Iwatani versus Starlight Kid from the 5-star Grand Prix 2022 is on Stardom World. And then, of course, the finals of the 2021 5-star Grand Prix between Momo Watanabe and Shuri is on Star World. Same thing that goes for the Julia Tam thing. It's not listed, so don't type in Momo Shuri. Just type in 5-star 2021 and you'll find it.
Yeah. And all of the honorable mentions we gave are all on Stardom World as well.
Ah, yes, good
We're
job.
not going to list each of those individually.
No, we're not because I don't remember a single one. That's why they were honorable mentions. They weren't
Yeah.
they weren't locked in. But Trent,
Every
there,
2019 match, we'll go through those individually, is on
yeah,
Stardom Road.
that was already tiring for me. But Trent, hit him with the plugs before we get out of here.
So you can find me on Twitter/X at OneUpCulture. I did a 5-star guide slash preview over at RazuraMag.com, which has all 28 wrestlers, including, well, not including. I did write previews for the ones who then decided to drop out after they were announced. Thank you, Natsu Katora. That's not up on the website, but I've got a full write-up preview for each wrestler in the tournament. I've got the full schedule. I've got the singles records and the best performances for the years, all those kind of stats and facts up on the website. So dive into that. It's a long boy, probably the most I've had to work on a single individual piece because in part everyone decided to go and change their allegiances and change their faction names the day before I was releasing the damn article. I hate that. But yeah, I might. I don't know what I'll be doing for the 5-star Grand Prix in terms of content. I've been thinking of doing stuff. I've been thinking of being lazy. You'll find out when I find
Peek behind the curtain. Let's just say the rendezvous shows were a hell of an experience for Trent. Uh, because this poor guy, my God, like the hate thing happened. They all turned. You
Title
had,
changes.
I think it started with Konami earlier in the week. That was the
Yeah,
first shift for Trent.
yeah.
And then we had title changes,
Some I was
and
prepared for. Some I
some of you
was not.
weren't.
No.
Then you had the hate change, which is like, okay, we gotta get Saya Kamatani switched. Okay, fine,
Mm,
sure. And then the last bomb when Trent was all ready to pass it in and move on. Oh yeah, Natsuko Tora not in the tournament anymore. Have fun writing something up for Ruaka.
yeah.
I did feel very bad for you. I'm grateful I did my usual guide a week after,
Mm, mm.
because I could just talk about hate instead of hate that I had to redo it.
Experience. Hey.
I can experience hate all I
Mostly
want,
wanting to
but
get it out before everyone else,
yeah,
which I think I did.
you
So
absolutely did.
yeah.
I haven't seen another one to begin with, so besides yours, so I think you did. I think you did it.
Mm.
But it's
Was it
good
worth
read
it?
through.
No.
My favorite description is Trent writing about Anna J personally. Um,
Hey, hey. My AEW experience came in clutch.
yeah, it sure did. Um, but yeah, make sure you go check that out. ResurrectMag.com. .com, right? It's not
Yeah,
something
.com.
different. Okay. ResurrectMag.com. You can check out that now. Okay, I got a lot of plugs here. Just
Ooh.
put put in the
Fill up that
thing on.
bathtub.
Yeah, so my guide should be out by the time this is out. It is very different from Trent's. That's on purpose. I like to not I like that he covers all the wrestlers, he covers the records and things like that. That's great because I can play to that. I can play,
Mm,
okay, here's some favorites, here's some dark horses, here's your schedule, here's your blocks, here's the format. Like I can do the very basic stuff and it works out for me. Here's some matches to look out for.
mm,
Here's some stats and tricks and winners. Like I can do the basic stuff. If you want breakdown of each and every wrestler, you go to Trent's. If you want some basics and just like favorites and hate, I talked a lot about hate. Um, but ultimately, the 5-star Grand Prix is a wonderful thing. It's the best time of the year. Um, check with me after August 31st if I'm still saying that. I might not be because it's going to be a lot over the next month. But it is the best time of the year. Also, my 5-star Grand Prix audio is out now. Fight Game Media Network anywhere you get your podcast. Also over on YouTube on their YouTube channel, 5-Star Joshi Show. Previewed that, went through all the blocks, talked about potential, finishers in terms of the 8 that will advance and the semifinals and the finalists and so on. It's a lot this year. Okay, this tournament is a lot. I am already tired. The fact that we're doing the big 8 match in Shinjuku Face pops me in a very big way. Like, just looking at them, like, oh my god, we might get like this gigantic match in Shinjuku Face. I think that's very funny. It's, I don't know what they're doing, and like they didn't book where's Micah and his Fukuoka. They didn't book that for this tour. I'm like, you have Micah and Hazuki in the same block, and you think, oh, you know what? Maybe we should book there and do that match. Whatever. That's just me. But that's up now. This Friday, I've realized I do not like myself. I do not like time. I do not like having time. I have joined another podcast because that's what I do to myself. But that one will run sporadically. It is not always going to be every week. It is based off need, not having to just do it to do it. Yeah. It is the Gold Star podcast on the Wrestle Purist Network that is covering Joshi and Against My Will Puro. Let's just say I only asked for Joshi. We reached an agreement. Gold Star can kind of give you the direction we're mostly going for here, and that is Joshi. The Golden Gardens will be covered heavily over there. I'll just say that. That's Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk everything going on. The G1's going on. A little bit of 5-star preview if you somehow need another one from me. But Jamie and 6-star, they're great. Listen to it for them. I'm just there to, I don't know, do what I do, I guess. It's a podcast I don't actually have to like host, so it's okay. I'm good at those. I say yes to those all the time because it's like, oh, you just want to sit down and talk from, never mind. So that's coming up. And I made the stupid decision to cover every 5-star Grand Prix show. I also have to review, writing wise, 5 of them for Voice of the Wrestling. This is going to be a hell of a month for me. But if you want to check out those reviews, that'll be on my YouTube channel, Scott E Wrestling. It'll be simple, 10 to 20 minutes, not too long. I can only say so much about Ruaka. If that interests you, if you need someone to review it, that'll be that. I'll have guests from time to time as well, just for fun. Because doing 12 of those will be hell. You know what's funny? This is funny. The only night that I can't watch like quickly is the final night. Like that day I am so busy with like real life annual things that I always do. So that's a later problem. But that's it. We will be back in September. We don't know the official date yet. September 3rd feels way too soon. That's right after the finals. It's like
it kind of defeats the point of us being able to prepare stuff like what we were talking about. Like we want to be able to prepare stuff. We won't really have time to prepare given the final is 3 days before.
No. And the Marigold tournament also starts that weekend. So it's just so much. So we'll probably be back the 10th or 17th. We don't know yet, but we'll be back in September. So thank you everyone for listening. We appreciate you listening. And until next time, see ya.